Boys and girls, hi and welcome back to the Wheel of Time. I was trying to keep upbeat there, but every think about it, time I think about it. The Wheel of Time. Robert Jordan's fantastic book series, killed on the altar of somebody who thinks they could do it better. Because that's all this is. It's somebody thinks they can do it better because they've not adapted the books. They've taken parts of the books and just rewritten it, rewritten the whole thing. And just
No. I have a far greater, not explanation, but description. This is literally your case of the dog ate my homework. I read the book or the synopsis 10 years ago, and I was told I need to write the story now for TV adaptation and everything, and realized that all the books were put in storage, it's waterlogged, everything. There's like literally you can't read it, and Amazon doesn't deliver to wherever you are, so you can't get the new book to reread it again. So just pulling stuff from memory is like, oh yeah, this happened over there, maybe, but I have no clue how these two things belong together.
See, I'll agree with part of that, except the part that they're locked away in a cupboard, waterlogged, and Amazon doesn't deliver. No, they got them all. And what they did was they went, fuck that, and just made up stuff based on things that they'd heard was in the book. And that's the problem. So, right, name the characters, right? We've got the characters. What's that character do? Does magic, right? That's fine. But that doesn't matter about the two sides of magic. Don't bother about that. She does magic. That's all we need. Right, and he does this, right? Okay, no, we don't need that information. He's a soldier. That's all we need to do, and he does what she says, right? That's all we need. And it was that type of thing. It's a case of they might have been given all the information, the books in front of them. They thought, I'm not reading that. I'll just make it up as I go along because I can do it better.
No,
these last two
not.
episodes, they subverted my expectations.
Yeah, you were right. You see, the Dragonborn was round after all.
Yes, they actually had the Dragon Reborn named the Dragon Reborn. Not necessarily the Dragon Reborn. They named him as the Dragon Reborn. Same as the book. So, wow. Yeah, they subverted my expectations. But, knew what route they were going to go down.
If we begin at the very, very beginning, clearly us cis, straight, white, male, old school.
See, I don't recognize those words you just said because
exactly,
those are words that other people use. That is no me, sorry, so I don't recognize.
No, but these are the writers, and clearly us men has been lied to. A woman in literally ready to deliver a baby, in birth pains and all of that. Don't worry.
Oh, she could actually take.
Yeah,
no problem. No problem. She can fight those 7 men, 3 of them at the same time.
Yeah,
even though
she's literally in labor. She's delivering any minute. No, don't worry. She can do like a fight scene. 7 men, no problem.
Gentlemen, stop being so. I mean, you're being sarcastic. She did occasionally actually feel labor pains. You know, I mean, she was fighting, but she did stop when she had a contraction.
Yeah, and everybody else.
We know how realistic that is.
Right, the 7 men attack. Well, we actually need to show her having labour. Right, okay, you attack first, then you 2, then you 3.
Yeah.
And but how will people believe it? Don't worry. They watch Chinese theatre and you see them all standing around and only attack one at a time. We'll do that here because it's believable.
Yeah. And I still
what about when she's having she can only have labour pains when there's nobody around her. So she goes to, then she has labour pains, then she kills those 3, then she has labour pains, then she kills that one, then she has a labour pain, then she kills him, then she has a labour, and that's literally what I was pissing myself laughing. I could not stop laughing at it.
Now I will give fairness to that fight scene. The first guy that jumps up on the rock and discovers her, he might have been suddenly started. Hang on, it's a pregnant woman. It's not a warrior woman. he might have had like that half a second pause, allowing her to just swipe his.
No. You're giving them too much
But
credit.
that's what I'm saying. That one, if they stopped there, and then Tam had come in, and then there might have been more fight scenes. And yes, she might have done some fighting. They could have done that scene so much better, and they would have elevated her status as, okay, she's a really badass fighter. She really is.
In my next practice, reenactment practice in a fortnight's time, because unfortunately it was that way. I have to ask all of our lady fighters, all of whom, for both of whom I know have got kids, how realistic it is if 9 months pregnant and about to go into labour, if they could actually fight. I'm sure I'm going to be reassured that there was nothing, no dramatic license taken there. I still want to know what the hell that whole thing had got to do with the storyline. Okay, so it turns out that's where Rand came from.
Yeah,
And
as soon as I saw that at the beginning, I said, okay, they're going to have Rand as the dragon. They have to, because it makes zero sense for anybody else. So having that there, if they have somebody else as a dragon, that scene made zero sense. That was before Tam picked up the reign, and you didn't know he was Tam at the time, but we knew, if you've read the book, you knew who he was. The fact is that made zero sense unless Rand was actually the dragon. So as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, they're going down the route of Rand being the dragon reborn.
I'm sure though they've mentioned beforehand. I thought I had the feeling that we'd always known that Rand was adopted. Maybe I've missed something, but I was thinking. But
yes, because
we knew
they
that was his
mentioned it.
stepfather.
Maureen mentioned it because other people told her.
So, but I thought. So why is it coming as a surprise to Rand? I must have either not been paying
Because
attention
Rand
or
didn't
misread
know.
something. Oh,
It was only the wisdom who knew.
Right. Okay.
It was
yeah,
the
no,
wisdom who knew. That's
yeah.
why she was asking the questions about people around that age. And she found out about him, and she found out about Nynaeve, who suddenly was an adopted person as well.
So now we find that Rand, so the risk of going back and forth as if we care. Okay, so Rand is an adopted person. We have no idea who his mother was. His mother is someone who apparently is fleeing a battle, had been fighting in a battle already when she was pregnant, from the state of her weapons and armor, and then she gets hunted down by these guys who I'm still not sure. Were they in the same sort of armor as the Chinese guys at Hadrian's Wall or not?
No, they were in the bees armor of the bees of what was these? The bees of Elian. Is it Elian?
Yes.
Yeah, they were in the bees of Elian. They weren't actually bordermen.
So we've no idea who any of these people are from the story. Again,
From the story, no, you don't.
Exactly,
Apart
from
from
the
the
point of view
fact
of from the TV show. Okay, so we suddenly find at the end of the season that that one of these kids, and then we find out later on, I said that it's Rand, was adopted. Okay, and so what? So who are these? We don't know who these people are he's adopted from. We don't know. We have no idea what the fight was about, what the battle was about. Just he's adopted because his adopted father it was the last survivor of the people that came across his woman that had slaughtered all his men.
And he took pity.
And he then takes pity on the pregnant woman who apparently managed to give birth while she's still clothed without apparently he's actually born through her trousers because she's wearing trousers. And she then dies. Okay, fair. I mean, okay, to be quite honest, yes, the child's innocent. I could even understand that if he's not in the heat about it, he's come across it, he's found this woman. Charge. That's not. But we have no idea who they are, so it doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
Where
Because
heck-
in the book, it starts off, you understand it. The book gives you an explanation. The thing is, in here, they sort of try and tell you, because people say, "Oh, you look like an Aielman," and multiple people tell them that. So you have to assume that that woman who was pregnant is Aiel, because people have said, "Oh, you look like an Aielman." L'Oreal told them that. There was a couple other people who mentioned it
yeah,
about his height and how you look like an Aielman.
and yet, like the entire rest of the world, Two Rivers is so goddamn multicultural, rainbow colours of Benetton. He wouldn't have stood out racially.
Exactly, that was the thing. He didn't stand out. Because, as I said earlier, the only other people you saw who, apart from someone had brown hair, there was a load of people who had grey hair who were white. So they might have had red hair. How did we know? So when they were older, they had white hair. You don't know. He didn't stand out. Yeah, in the book, there was the area where they were slightly shorter. They had dark hair, slightly a different complexion. So he stood out. And they put that down to the fact that his mother, Tam's wife, was an outsider, and it was traits from her lineage, because he looked so different. So it must have been his mother's side, because Tam
Exactly,
was married
but
to an
in the
outsider.
books, Rand is meant to stand out in literally any way you can conceive of.
He's tall,
He's taller
red
than
hair,
everybody else,
fairness
red hair,
of him.
pale skin, broad shoulders. So he's tall and strong, even though it doesn't fit. Yes, he's a farmer's boy, but he's very physically fit. So he's standing out compared to the next farmer standing literally side by side, because he
Yep.
has the warrior culture background, genetics, if you like. But it's literally everything about Rand to stand out.
Yeah, and it never did. And the fact is, how they subverted it at this last couple of episodes, where, oh, he's the dragon. Oh, and we all knew he was a dragon. No, because they were basically, they muddied the water from the beginning and changed everything, so you didn't know. But for some reason, they decided, yep, we'll say it's him now, which I still don't believe. I still don't believe, no matter what. I still do not believe.
Yeah, well, we're jumping a little bit ahead of us. Let's try and stay on episode 7, because you don't really get the details until like.
You don't get the details, but at the end of episode 7, that's when it actually started. But the only good part about episode 7,
that it ended.
That it ended, was Lord Agomar. That was basically when they came in, and he's Lord of Faldara. He was the one standing in the balcony. He was the one with the sister who had her father's armor. But Lord Agomar, he was really good.
You mean Yellow Panther?
Yes.
Chinese Black Panther, complete with sister.
Yes, but the thing is, Lord Agomar, his character was quite good. Even the wee bits he had, and even in the 7th and in the 8th, the bit when he was talking to his sister, and then also there was a bit when he was talking to Moiraine about the Waygate. Those two wee bits, his character stood out above everybody else. He's only on the screen for 5 minutes, if that, or between the two seasons, the two episodes.
I mean, he comes out when he comes out, and later on he says, okay, I was wrong. I think, okay, oh God, of course the man was wrong, but within the story, that actually worked. It's just if you weren't looking out for wokeness every minute, I don't think it would have been quite so obvious. Oh, of course the men got it wrong. What they did notice, though, I was actually quite pleased to notice at the start of episode 7, it wasn't a white man who screwed the pooch. the original dragon wasn't a
Yes.
black.
Did you see how they had to deliberately color code it?
Oh,
So it was
and
a black man wearing black, and there was a white woman wearing white,
yeah,
telling him what he had to do.
and
It's
I don't
basically
know if
a
it was,
white woman guiding the black man because
well, of
he
course,
doesn't know any better, but he just
and
didn't listen. That's what the fault was.
yet again, the child. I mean, it says so much that until he said until she said, "I'm just a woman trying to change an old friend." I thought they were married because every bloody couple in this thing seems to be mixed race.
Mhm.
Every
No,
couple, it seems. But
the
I'm
way
still
we were
sure that
talking, I didn't think they were married, but I must admit, I didn't think they were married. However, I just thought it was typical that he was saying something and she was trying to tell him how wrong he was.
oh
Listen
yeah,
to Karen. Hello, my name is Karen, and you should listen to me.
yeah, yeah. I
And
mean,
that's
if
what
he,
it is, because you look at the three main black male characters. First one you had was Lord Valda. Remember? Oh, mommy, what are you? Very suddenly, I'm a coward. Look at me, but I'm a bully.
oh
But
him,
I'm a coward. And then you
the
had
Inquisitor.
the Dragon Reborn, who I know better. I know you're just trying to tell me what to do because you're right and you're a white Karen, but I'll still do what I want to do. I know
Yeah,
it's going to actually blow up my face, but yes, I'll no listen to you, even though you're white Karen who's telling me how I should live my life. And then the third one, Paddin Fane, who's evil. So they've got
mm,
three black male characters, and what have they
mm,
said? You're useless, you're corrupt, and you just don't listen to us white women.
mm. I must admit, if I wanted to try to be fair and look at it, if if they hadn't said at the start 3,000 years ago,
Hmm.
if it hadn't been clear that what the show was doing is was showing you what happened last time around,
Yep.
right? If it had been Moiraine, for example, telling that story, if it had been shown through her eyes,
Hmm.
I could accept that. Okay, so because the situation they're in, and they've already said that the legends have been changed.
Hmm.
I could say, okay, so from her point of view, yes, the world they live in is that the men fucked up, women
Yeah.
have got the power. So from their perspective, they would read it as the man not listening to the woman. From their perspective, that would make sense. But no,
Yeah.
they
But no,
said this is what happened.
yes, that to me, this wasn't Rand dreaming or Moiraine or
No,
whatever. This is just
no,
telling you. However,
exactly.
the in the TV show they screwed up. They screwed up big time.
What again?
Because what did they say early on about how it got corrupted? Remember, it's not the male and the female half, it's just the one power.
Hmm.
How did they tell you it got corrupted? The men tried to seal the Dark One's prison, and his masterstroke was he corrupted it for all men, right? Women didn't, nobody knew this was going to happen, but they did, they went down. This is what happened because they didn't listen to the women, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, in that scene, she told him, if you do this, it will corrupt the power for men.
And and we will stay. What will we do? We'll stay around and clear up your mess.
Yes. So in effect, they turned around at the beginning and says, and the counterstroke that nobody was prepared for, nobody understood what was going to happen. And then it went back 3,000 years, and she says, if you do this, it'll corrupt it for all you men, and we'll have
Hmm.
to clear up. So in effect, they knew what was going to happen. So they're effectively saying, we didn't know what was going to happen, but we knew what was going to happen in two
Yeah.
different scenes. The first
Yeah.
scene describing it saying it was a counterstroke, we didn't know what was going to happen, but it made all men crazy when they touched the power. And then they went back and did that, where she tells him, if you do that, it will corrupt the power for
I
you
think,
men.
but what's
So
interesting,
they have no concept of telling a story because they change it halfway through and they expect everybody to forget.
what does actually strike me is absolutely bloody amazing in this day and age is that the one character. God, this, I can hear myself echoing, and this is so annoying. The one character who redeems himself, who acts, so who not only acts selflessly but turns and says, "Okay, no, this is maybe what I want, but it's not what someone else wants," and it's acts honourably. Is the white male. The white man acts like a goddamn hero in this.
Yep.
At least as close as any of them do. Lan and Rand both act as close to heroes as anybody does in this. And they're the two white leads.
No, well, Lan isn't a white lead.
Well,
Ish, but I think I'm getting. I understand where you're getting at.
yeah, he's meant to be Japanese, but I think the actors are close enough to what I think.
Basically, he's got.
But
yeah,
but I think I see where you're getting at there. And yes, in this TV show, those are the only two male characters allowed to be a little bit more than just useless.
I mean, how does Rand save the day? I mean, at risk again, living forward a bit, but what does he do? No, hold on a second. This may be my ideal life, but it's not Egwene's. And if it's not Egwene's, I love her. I'm actually going to give it up for her.
Oh, do you know the worst part was? Do you know whose storyline that is?
No.
That's Nynaeve's in the book.
Is it?
When she becomes accepted, they have to go through archways. One is for things that are happened. It's like there's three. One for things to come, things that are, and things that was. And one of them is Nynaeve goes through and she has the baby with Lan, and it's the greatest life, the life she wanted, and she had to give it up to come Aes Sedai. But they
in the
used
book,
it.
it's extremely more nefarious.
Yes,
if
they
she
gave it
gets
to
stuck in
Rand.
the dream, she will never return to mortal life.
Yes,
she will just vanish.
She would have vanished from the Tar Angreal, and she would have literally lived that life on another alternate planet. That's basically the line. However, they basically, so that is Nynaeve's part in the book. And what did they do? Give it to a male.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is, if you think about it, again, that is the male being selfless.
Yes.
That is
the thing
good.
Is, the thing is, it shows you how stupid they are, because that was Nynaeve, the woman who was being selfless. And what they did was they said, well, women are so strong they don't need to. It's a man who has to be the woman. So he has to give up the ideal life with his baby, and it's such a loving life. So he has to give it up.
So
how strong he is.
So Egwene actually only managed to get her power because of a man.
Yeah.
Ooh, that can't be none of that these days.
It's crazy. It's nuts. It's the whole way they do this is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
You look at when Nynaeve followed Lan to the house, and then they walked each other back.
What, you mean the stalker?
Yes, the stalker. And what did they do? She walked Lan home and made sure to get into his house. He didn't walk her home, being the protector. He walked him home to make sure he didn't get molested or anything like that in that big bad town and stuff like that. And make sure the wee man got home.
I don't know,
but women will just walk away, and then she decide to come in, but you can send me away if you want. You'd imagine if they had done Lan actually walking her home, she goes in, and then he opened the door. You
I
can
don't know.
send me
I mean,
away.
I agree. I see what you're saying, but I don't know. I mean, given that they were in what, for all intents and purposes, was a safe haven. I
Yes,
won't use
but
the
it
word
was the
safe
fact that
space.
still you can imagine a male turning around going,
Oh,
"Please
to
walk
me, was
me home.
they're walking
Please
back.
walk me home. It's scary." But it was just the
No,
fact
no,
that yes,
because
it was a safe
they
place,
just come
but
to.
it's still there's. It's not. I'm not talking about things like that. It's the fact is, even if it's a safe place, it's just how you would do because if you're protective of the people around you, he's a protector for Moiraine,
Yeah.
so he would
But
just
I mean,
automatically
I
become
would.
protector for the people around him.
I mean, I just read that more as a case of they got of they happened to get to Land's place first, and if you want to put it that way, rather than him then go and walk her on home and come back, he has the confidence that she can go on, and then they have to do it that way, because if they'd done it the other way, you'd
Yes,
either have
that's the
had to
problem.
have
If they did it the other way, he walked her home, she goes in, then he walks in and says to her,
exactly
"You could tell me to go home," what would have happened?
you've
It would
got
have
you've
been a kick up because, oh, a man's just did this. But it's okay for a woman to do it. And that's
yeah
the point I was getting at. They
yeah
twisted it, they
oh
flipped it in its head. So it's the woman's okay for a woman to do it, but it's not okay for a man.
Yeah, exactly. We're kind of back on the Captain Marvel 1984, Wonder Woman 84 thing again. Exactly.
Mhm.
If they'd done it the other way round, and he'd gone in and he said, "Would you like me to stay?" It would have been either him pushing himself on her,
Mhm.
metering her, or it would have been her. Um,
She would have
you
been
know,
pressurized
Well,
according to
I mean,
the.
even not necessarily even that. I mean, even just saying, "Yeah, okay, I want to." I mean, the implication is that she's never been with a man before anyway. That's certainly the implication. I think coming along with her can't get married and the rest of it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I stated or not, but it's certainly the implication, I think. But so what they do is she comes in and she says, I'm yours if you want me. No, there's nothing wrong with that. But the problem is this day and age, as you said, you couldn't have it the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. You couldn't have it the other way around,
Mm.
and that's the problem. So as soon as they try and have it the other way around, it's so noticeable. So
Mm.
they're putting all the males in female roles and all the females in male roles.
Yeah. But
They
again,
literally, you cannot stop seeing it. It is literally
yeah.
the woman walking the man home, the
Mm.
woman
Mm.
coming in and shutting the door, going, "I'll leave if you want to, but I know
No,
you
no, no.
don't want to."
I wouldn't have minded that so much if they actually built the universe better toward that angle and saying, hey,
Yeah.
yes, the women are actually really, they are the caretakers, they're taking charge, they're the money makers, they're responsible, they make sure everybody's safe, they have all of that. But I think this is, it's so far off. They're trying to make the women the men.
Mm.
And I'm one of those. If me and my mates are out on the pub, I'm one of those to make sure everybody gets home safely. They get into the Uber, the cabs. They have everything they need to get home. Nobody gets left behind. There is no wallets. There is no one leaving their coats or anything like that. I always have that kind of sense of responsibility. But then again, we're talking about this world, this universe, our rules, if you like. But they're trying to do that, but they're doing it so badly
Mm.
with the woman walking the man home. He's a
Yeah.
protector for one of the stronger Aes Sedai there are, and he's a warrior. He's a king of a fallen kingdom.
Yes, that came out of nowhere.
Well, it's very heavy in the book, but
Yeah, again,
you get like half a second glimpse of his towers.
Yeah, and even the tracking part came out, which was a load of pants as well, because after all, it wasn't him she was tracking, it was her she was tracking. It wasn't Lan she followed, it was Moiraine, because she's got to tell that you being a expert tracker did not know, but I'm going to tell you so you can find her.
Mhm.
How stupid is that? He's an expert tracker. He's a warder. He's but
Mm.
a woman had to
And
tell him
then,
how to do it properly.
I'll show you how to do it off screen because we can't be bothered to actually work out what
Yeah,
we're
but it was
actually
the
talking
whole
about.
fact of it is the reason the relationship forms in the book is because he's impressed because he knows his skill, and she still managed to track him.
Hmm.
So he got impressed from that point with Nynaeve because he knows his skill, and he made sure that nobody could track him, but she still did. So that was it. And then it was a wee bit of tit for tat. He went to find her horse, and she was hoping he couldn't find it, but he comes back. So it's a case of the two of them trying to one up each other. But it's not, the two of them don't have, it's not a negative thing. It's he's impressed because he knows his skill that she can outdo him. It's not a case of then she turns around and goes, well, it was the you tracked, it was her.
Mm.
So in effect, you're saying everything I did meant nothing because it was the me you were tracking, it was her. And she left things lying so I could follow her. And even saying things like, I followed her because she's got a tail. What the fuck's that got to do with tracking? That's like
Yes,
saying
so
I'm
I'm
playing
thinking, okay,
poker with her. And
yeah,
it
exactly.
goes like that every time she's got a good hand. So every time she takes a left hand turn, she does that. And so I can follow when I get to there because I can see
Yeah.
her go.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. What?
It's freaking stupid. She's got a tail. They have zero concept. It's like turning around saying, every time she turns left, she eats a peanut and drops it in the ground. But every time she turns right, she does it with 2 peanuts. It's literally how stupid can you be? She's got a tail.
I mean, it's weird that sometimes they're good at sometimes the world building is quite good and impressive and gives you hints, and then other times you get, I mean, I don't know if it's their editing or what, but I mean, to make Jim happy and go back to the start of episode 7, I got them the next one. You got these things. You got this. They're all debating, having this debate about, do we want to, are we going to follow? We're going to trust. Fine, okay, great. And then, no, not Lorien. He was the first one. Not L'Oreal. The Ogwyn.
Loyal.
The Loyal, thank you. Turns around and says, Moraine's hurrying on ahead there. We really should catch up. Next scene, as in literally, okay, no cut or anything. Literally cut to the next scene. They're all creeping slowly along the causeway together. So obviously, it didn't take them long to catch up.
About it, because the way gates, right? You're going through this. No, there's no things about it that, and then suddenly, L'Oreal, it used to be really nice. This. Oh, we're out of it now. What the hell's the point? What difference did it make? All those things that he was saying in the books, you could understand because they had to travel over a few days, and he was just explaining it to take their mind off where they were. He was explaining how nice it used to be and how they used to do things. In here, they're in and out within 5 minutes. So him giving exposition as they're walking for those 2 minutes meant nothing because they are irrelevant in this story because all they were to get you from A to B, they were in it for as short a time as possible. Made no difference.
I mean, they already set the bar high because there is sex and nudity and blah, blah, blah. So you're already at 18 limit. But something
You must be watching
Jordan does
episodes
really
than me.
well in the book, the shadow or cloud or mist or whatever you want to call it in the Waygates. I keep forgetting. Maishan,
Maishin.
Yes. It's not like, oh, you're a failure, you're a loser. No, it's like psychotic. It's singing really creepy stuff like blood
Drink your blood, kill you, rip your bones, get the marrow. That's what it's doing in the book. It's basically crazy, and it's just thinking about eating you, destroying you, chewing you up alive, drinking your blood, chewing your bones. That's what it is because it's a psychotic thing. No, oh, I know what you are. I remember what you did last night when you were on your own. It's what it's almost like. I'm going to tell people, I know what you did. That's what it was almost like. It was a case of just don't listen to it.
I mean, to be quite honest, I think purely from, again, obviously just which the teachers, that I think worked in a subtle way in that it was I'm sorry, I did a little drop for a second there, but I'm sorry, we're talking about the voices that chase them out.
That's it. That's the mind section.
They're being subtle. You know, they are planting seeds. A different approach, but I don't know what, because again, that comes back later on, obviously, when Rand thinks there's something going on between Perrin and Egwene, and like, you know, it's that sort of thing has been set up. But what gets me is they get this attack, and this thing appears out of nowhere suddenly tonight. Attacks Egwene. Egwene reacts automatically, channels, which is not supposed to do. Okay, that sets an alarm off something. Morgane turns around and says, "Oh, you know, they just happen to be. You know, they're obviously they need to get out. It's been set up effectively that there's pathways in there so they can go to other gates and the rest of it. It's not just from one gate to another, which is fair. Great. So obviously they now want, you know, you've got drama. They're being chased. They need to get out. And it just so happens that the nearest gate they need to get out is the one they need to get out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of all the gates, I mean, I obviously don't know how the gate.
There's gates all over the world. So maybe 2 or 3 per land.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, he's I don't know obviously how they map up, but fortunately for them, the first gate, the nearest gate that they went to, the nearest gate to get out happens to be the one they need. You know, okay, happy coincidence again.
Yeah. But in the book, when it happened, they'd been in the ways for a couple of days, trying to avoid this. They come across the Trollocs, and when the chase starts, they're getting Laurel to actually navigate from island to island to make sure they get to the one they want. However, they know fine well, if whatever happens and we can't get to that, we will take whatever the nearest one is to get out of here.
Yeah.
So they're basically going from here to here to here to here to here to here. But they know if they get to an island and they know they can't make it to the next island to find the next way, they'll just come and go that gate. Doesn't matter where it takes them because they'll survive. So they still have to, they're still trying to run to the right one.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's a case of, oh, it's coming. Go to the nearest one. Oh, it's the one we want. No problem.
Yeah.
And it was the only fact is they're walking. So they've been walking, what, an hour? Whereas in the thingy, they had to get panniers with oil for their.
They needed light, they needed food, they needed
They had
sleeping
to have
bags.
the horses because they had to travel for a couple of days in it. And it is all to do with the distance they were traveling. So the horses, and you're sitting here, they goes, get rid of the horses, get rid of the food, get rid of the water, get rid of everything. We're going to walk. So you're going to walk for what, an hour or so? And that's going to save you a 3 weeks traveling. That's not how the ways work.
It's 6 months, isn't it? 6 months that they do
from one place to the other. They could, and it travels though. Instead of traveling, so as they walk for an hour, it'd be like walking a couple of 100 leagues. That's the way the ways work. But in this, it's a case of, in effect, you're saying is no matter where we want to go, we don't need food or water or anything. All we need is a torch.
Just have our friendly bot there and click the like button as well.
Yeah. It had a torch each, so that's it. That's all we needed. Nobody had it. They had a big a horse pannier full of torches because they needed to keep the light going the whole time they were going to be in there. They had a torch each. How long was that one?
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, there were so many well, not necessarily inconsistencies, but so many things I just didn't think.
No matter how I try to approach it, Dungeons and Dragons, if we take that, you roll up to your friends Friday night, you know you're going to crash over, you're going to continue playing Saturday morning. You have resources for yourself as the physical individual, but you do the exact same for your character on the paper. we're going away on an adventure. Oh, let's make sure we stop by the trader so I can pick up a little bit of water, dry jerky. I have
cheese, rope, whatever else I might need, healing potion.
Adventurous
Exactly.
packs. Yeah.
So whoever wrote this clearly hasn't even played or been exposed to any kind of fantasy.
No, whoever wrote this hasn't even actually been on a car journey. Considering in the UK, if I'm going down to England, I'm going down on Wednesday. So maybe just a 3 hour trip there and a 3 hour trip back. But guess what? I'm still going to have something in my bag. So if I want a snack in that 3 hour trip there and a 3 hour trip back, I'm going to have it.
And
You
a bottle of water.
America, traveling from one city to another, could be 5-10 hour drive.
Yeah, but in Texas alone, you can go between 2 cities and it's a 15-hour drive.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's even. I'm just saying 2 nearer cities, so a 5 hour drive. So they've not even did that because they know fine well they have to have water, maybe a wee snack, or if they smoke, make sure they've got cigarettes and lighters. But it's like they've never even done a basic trip. They've never even gone a basic trip with anybody. They've not even watched movies where people are traveling because they go in and buy stuff. It's almost a case of, well, I've never left my house, so I'll write the trip scene.
I will say though, Lord of the Rings has the cheekiest cheat there ever is with the Lemba sleeve. Anyway, with the Lemba spread, 1 bite is enough. But they actually make fun of it, and it is Perrin. He's having a whole loaf of it, and they say 1 bite is enough to feed you for a day. And it's quite cheeky because he's had an entire loaf, not just 1 bite. That is enough to feed you for a day.
I'm trying to remember. That's it. That's the only notes I've made. So for that see episode 7. So we get there. Yeah, and that's when we come across the
Blight, which was the stupidest thing ever. Do you know what somebody who did that Blight scene? Do you know what they were watching just before they wrote that scene?
No, what?
The Disney movie where you remember it was they had to go to the witch's castle and it had all the forest around it with all the spiky stuff and don't touch anything. Was it
Wizard of Oz, wasn't it?
no, it was Snow White. It was a Snow White. Remember
Snow White,
the knight had to go to the castle.
I must admit that I was watching that and I was so also when it comes to the wall and that I was so getting okay. Sorry, am I watching this or am I watching Game of Thrones? Are they White Walkers the other side?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, it's almost a case of we have to show the blight, so there's suddenly you go up and there's a barrier with all these trees. That's not how the blight is. What they do is they start traveling and they notice the greenery is starting to go brown, and as they're going, there's the occasional plant here that's starting to puss up, and as they're moving in, all bits of plants here and there are pussy and stuff like that, and then they see a tree and it makes a swipe at something. So it's almost like it's become carnivorous and it's that type of thing. So the things are starting to rot and twist. So it's not a case of, look, we've come up against the wall.
Yeah. Well, that's what a blight is in reality, isn't it? You know,
it's basically it's as it's creeping forward, it's killing things ahead of it, and it's basically twisting it. But here it's a case of no, we have to show it with a wall because people won't understand this line. And you're sitting there thinking, have they been watching the Seven Dwarfs where Prince Charming fights his way through to the where Snow White is, where all the thorns,
the thorns and the vines, and he's just chopping through. And
exactly. So that's almost what this is. It's almost a case of no, it has to be like this. So they pull up and show you, and you're sitting there thinking, are these people freaking nuts?
I mean, to be fair, again, there is a difference. I mean, TV is an inherently visual medium.
Yes,
whereas in the book is a description, so they have to make it for a visual medium. I know what you're saying. Yeah,
you could be green grass, and as you're riding
Yeah.
getting brown, and then sandy, and then you see the focus on a plant which is turning moldy. Then you see, and that
Yeah.
the fact is they had to have this embarkation as look,
Oh, look, it's a bunch of roots.
yes,
Yeah,
scary
but
trees.
Whole thing
my
about
stickler is don't touch anything. 60 seconds later, Rand is
Yes.
literally leaning against one of the trees and just going,
yeah.
Yes.
Like,
And the fact is, don't touch anything, but they have to touch things as they're squeezing past them.
yeah.
Makes
Yeah.
zero sense. It literally makes zero sense.
And I mean, we get this bit. We've set this whole thing up that lands that the entire I presume it must have been quite a smallish city rather than a country, of which Land's father was king. He's swallowed by the blight, and we do all this, and then we're going along, and we see these we see these columns, whatever they're in the distance.
The
What are
seven
they?
towers. The
The
seven towers of.
oh, that's whatever it was. Purely so that when Lan is coming through and being completely, when Lan is chasing on and not coming in there to save the day at the end, he gets a 2 second.
glance, and
Oh,
it's
look, that's
exactly
my
the
old
same bit.
city.
Yeah, and it's exactly the same shot. It's not as if they saw it from a different. You even see it. He's looking through the same trees to see it.
Yeah.
but up until now in the TV show, we have been given zero background to this.
Yeah.
So why would it matter to Randall Thor, what he sees when he's walking with Moraine?
Yeah.
It would make more sense if that shot was reserved for Lan chasing
fact,
them down.
Come to think of it, at what point does Rand find out that Lan was a prince? We know Nynaeve does, because she followed him and she's
And the
been given his
Daishan
background.
question was,
Yeah,
Daishan,
but
what did they call you Daishan for?
she now knows that part of his background. When did Rand find that out?
He heard it in the writer's room.
I was going to say, thinking about it, I can't remember actually seeing it on screen. Did it actually happen on screen? Well, maybe it did.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I don't think they did. I think it's that typical that, right,
in fact, no,
we've
because
seen it. I've seen her hearing it, so you all know it now. So you don't need to actually hear it again. So we don't want to repeat the same line twice because we've already did expedition up there.
Because
so
in fact,
so everybody knows.
there is no way for Nynaeve to have passed it on to Rand because she doesn't come back.
Yeah, exactly. She only finds out that night, or
finds that out that night. She spends the night with Lan, and the next time she comes back, and she comes in there, and she comes in, and she's talking to Egwene, who's made up with Lan, with Rand, which is nice. She's coming there, and that's when Lan comes in and tells them that he's gone. So at no point is she in a position to pass that information onto anyone who will pass it on to Rand.
Yeah.
God, it's confusing, these names.
Okay, a question. Who thought in that scene where Lan wakes up and says, "Oh, you're leaving," just prior to when him waking up, who was expecting her to put a couple of gold coins down in the table next to the bed? That's exactly what I was expecting. She was thinking, and he was lying sleeping. I was expecting him to go into a couch and take a bit of money out and put beside him.
I did notice though that we get up and all of a sudden that the next time we see her, and I'm trying to think. I think it's actually been the same apart from that one creepy scene with Egwene. I think we never see any of the women less than almost fully clothed. We see her. We see her and she's getting dressed and she's actually got, now I don't know what they I don't know if the ladies unbraid their hair at night or they keep their hair braided all the time. I don't know, but her hair is still braided. Again, it's been braided and rebraided, and she's completely dressed. There's no indication that she's actually done anything. We see I'm trying to. I mean, I'm just trying to think because even I think. I mean, when I think the closest we got to any state of undress was we saw Egwene being pulled and groped and scrubbed down, and
You saw the
Turbo,
shower scene when the
yeah,
two Aes Sedai were in the showers. You also saw,
did we? I don't know.
I think, at the beginning when Rand and Egwene were meant to be in under on her dad's inn, and they had obviously slept, and she had him
Yeah, but
around her.
I was going to say,
Basically, when it comes down to it, I wish they'd just get rid of all that fish. I've always hated that stuff, unless it's part of the movie and it needs to be shown there.
Hmm.
I
I mean,
hate
it's.
romance in any movies. I think that should all be banned. Everything.
I mean, I think that to be fair, I disagree with that. Well, no, I take your point, but I mean, I think within this story, and again, of course, I can only take it as the story that I see on the screen because the Nynaeve and Lan relationship is interesting, and I think it's interesting because there's two people you're not sure. There's a little bit. It perhaps could have done with some more developing, but then there's only episode to do it. And the Egwene Rand one makes sense from the point of view as it does. It gives them it gives them the tension, and it gives them like more poignancy when you see him in his scene with her and the kid. I must admit, I did almost expect at one point. I almost thought when they discovered that she's gone, when she's saying, I really do love Rand, I literally, there was a little bit of me that said, and I'm carrying his child. I don't know why, but there was a little bit in there. Because when Perrin says he loves him as well, you start going, okay, but we know what you mean.
I was expecting Rand and Perrin to start giving it the I like him first. That's basically, it was almost like a cat fight. That's exactly what I thought they were going to go down, the cat fight. The two of them actually just sort of scratching each other's eyes out.
But this comes down to the writer doesn't even have life experience. Yes, there's been, I can't speak for the two of you, but there's been a few opportunities. I've been single, and I definitely not done the whole Tinder where you have like 40 people, you're messing around with all of them. But there's been a few scenarios in my life where it's been, hey, I actually have two options here. Who is the one that I like the most? Yes, I'm really interested in that, but they go off and date someone else, and then you go, okay, that's off limits, and you find someone else. You're not holding on to that. And Perrin, in this case, not only married, but he's also about to become a father.
Yeah.
You tell me that, oh, you're about to become a father. Oh, no, I'm just going to dump that and go after this one that I said 5 words to. I know there are idiots like that around, but how does that make sense that they have to have that?
Yeah, I mean, I did. I mean, I think I could see.
See, the thing is, I think they as soon as they aged up the characters, they had to invent stuff like this. Truthfully, I think these weirdos would have been quite happy as them all being 14, 15 and all this still going on. But they knew they couldn't get away with it, so they had to age them all up.
Yeah,
I think the aging up is actually the part they had to do because somebody says, you can't have that happening with 14-year-olds. Okay, age them up. So they've left parts, let them all acting like kids, and then they've realised that they have to have them being adult because of other parts. And I think it's down to the fact is not the lack of life experience. I think it's just the lack of talent. They don't know how to write things.
Again, within the story that we've seen, I can kind of understand why Rand might, especially if he's been pushed. I mean, we've already seen some tensions between when he discovers that Egwene might go on to as interested. I think at one point when she was interested in talking about her being a wisdom, and he already knows the fact that a wisdom doesn't get married, so he's going to get married. And then she's going to go on ice diet and all this, and we've set up there's a strain setting up there, and then they get separated for an episode, or which actually turned out to be probably a month or more. He knows Egwene is off with Perrin, so from his point of view, I can see why being pushed he might sort of start misinterpreting what Perrin says when Perrin comes in to say, you're being unfair to Egwene. But I think you're right. A lot of it is pushed in because they're writing almost if it's for teenagers, if it's Gotham High. And okay, hold on a second. Well, no.
But if I'll ask you a quick question just along this line, because you haven't read the book.
No.
At what point in time did you realize that Perrin had some kind of interest in Egwene? Yes, they get off on their own journey. They get to meet the people of the League.
I hadn't.
Exactly. They're just trying to cram stuff in there.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm genuinely saying. I mean, again, I must admit that most of the time there've been occasional bits here and there, occasionally I've just skimmed, and I'm not good at these days. I'm not good at watching things all the way through. Certainly not more than once. But no, I've not got anything set up. I'd never got any idea that there was anything other than that there was any sexual tension there between him and Egwene. There was certainly there's a degree of intimacy because of the situation they're plunged in, but that's platonic intimacy. That never came across to me as sexual intimacy. As
I remember all these feminist males and females, if you even say hello to a woman, you're trying to get their pants off.
Yeah.
Don't you even dare hold the door open for a woman.
Exactly, because as far as they're concerned, it doesn't matter if it's a male feminist or somebody's feminist. If you even say hello to a woman, the only reason you're doing it is because you want to get your pants off.
Yeah.
That is stupid, these are, and that's how stupid it comes across, because they think if two people who are very close friends and can comfort each other in times of stress, it must be because they want to get into each other's pants. That's how stupid these people are, because they've got no friends, so they don't understand it.
I would have understood that because that was very prevalent when I was a teenager. I do still get that really weird vibe. Oddly enough, I'm an introvert, but I'm fairly sociable for being an introvert.
See, I'm very similar, but the difference is I'm a pervert instead of an introvert.
Well, I'm that too, but
I remain silent.
The weirdness that I get from work colleagues and friends and everything, they're single as well because I'm also single, but for some reason I end up chatting with a girl. We're just having fun. We're discussing things like you and I. We are. Films, books, comics, fantasy, sci-fi. We just have that connection, but there is nothing really there. And I do realize, okay, I might have been a cock blocker for them because they really wanted to get into their pants, but it's like, why? Because I got to know the lady I was chatting to this evening. She's married, 2 kids, happily everything, and you're angry at me because I'm talking with her, but you can't get into her pants. Or well, you can probably, but you shouldn't because they're married, they have kids, they have family, they have. It's still present in my focus.
See, that's another thing as well. I could never understand, even with TV shows and stuff like that, the way they expect every male and every female to interact. I grew up with a load of female friends, male friends, made no difference if they're straight, gay, whatever, made no difference. They were just my friends. So a couple of my close friends are female. big deal. Even when I was single, I still had female friends who were single. Didn't mean anything. But it's when you see in the TV a woman walks up and goes, "Excuse me, hello, isn't that pretty? Could you do this for me?" And they go, "Aye, here you go." And you're sitting there thinking, is that all they think that a woman needs to do to a man to get exactly what she wants? Just goes to
Yes.
show how
But,
superficial
That's exactly what I think.
these writers essentially thinks every man on the planet is a Joey Tribbiani from Friends.
No, they think
How
they've
you
actually
doing?
all they've got is one brain, and it's too low down for most of
Yeah.
them to understand. And that I could never understand. If I was actually like, say for instance, I worked in a shop and somebody came in and said, "How much for that?" I would say £5. Oh, really? I've only got £4, but aren't I really pretty? I would still say £5. I wouldn't go, "I'll put the pound in for you because fuck off. It's £5." I could never understand with these programs where the woman flirts and suddenly the guy
I'll give
melts
a
and does her what
counterbalance.
she wants.
If it was my corner shop
No,
and
it makes no
it's a
difference.
regular customer coming in and says, "Oh crap, I have £4.80 and it's £4.90."
That's different. It's the ones that
Yeah.
are giving it the I'm flirting with you so I can get
Yeah.
a cheaper price. That's the
Yeah,
ones I'm
those are the
talking about. I'm not
suckers.
talking about a male, female, doesn't matter if you've known them for a while and they say, "Listen, I'm 20 pence short." I use it next time, it's not a problem. That's
Well,
different. Is that somebody comes in and goes, "Hello, aren't I pretty? Keep looking at me because you're meant to be guarding that door, but somebody's going to go through it and just look at me because you're just a man and I'm pretty and you have to look at me and ignore everything else." I'd be turning around going, "Fuck off." It's basically, I
Yeah.
could never understand with all these guys that are distracted because, oh, someone of the opposite sex is there and they're, oh, look. And I always used to think, nah,
I mean,
don't
I
need
mean,
anybody like that.
I do see the allure that you do want the attention of someone you do fancy, and I'm not talking about what I consider a really gorgeous woman may not be what either of you thinks is the same.
Absolutely.
But it might be that I might get a couple of words. Do I get shot? Hey, I'm still as much of an idiot as I was when I was 16 as I am now in my 40s.
You're still A, male, and B, alive.
Yes.
Yes, but the difference is, right, give an example. You've got 2 jobs to do, right? And this other one comes in, the girl you fancy, and she gives it the, "Please do mine first because," blink, flashy eyelids. And you've got 2 other jobs that you've already committed to. You guys just turn around and go, "Bugger them then, I'll spend the day here, fix your 2-minute job just because."
No, the scene you're describing, there will be a quick sidestep. It's in the TV show Jericho. The boy is working for an elderly lady. They're running the convenience shop in a very small town. But he's not fawning over her, but she knows he likes her. So she's doing that stuff. She's sidestepping the queue that is up to the tail, and it's like, "Oh, can you bag this?" and everything. But when everything just falls apart, there's like the country's under attack, there's nuclear bombs going off left, right, and center. They do connect on a better way, and she realizes that she's the one that's done wrong. And I don't think I've seen that in any TV show ever.
Yeah. See, I just find it just insulting that they think any man would just actually drop everything, his responsibilities, anything, just because a woman can bat her eyes. It's
Well,
I've always found that
except Al Bundy.
Al Bundy is basically, no matter what, he's just going to always be Al Bundy.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the great. It's I think it's the rabbis has put it a few times. They see sex as transactional,
Yes.
not as a personal intimacy. That's what they see it as transactional.
Yeah. It's true.
So it's part of the double standard as well. It's perfectly all right. It's perfectly fine for a woman to say flirt and smile and all this sort of thing. It wouldn't be okay for a man, Yeah, but Joey Tribbiani these days will get cancelled. But
Yep.
also, at the same time, it's not okay for women to hold to wear a shorts and a crop top and hold up a placard saying what round of a boxing match it is or what lap of a car race it is. So they have to be cancelled because they're doing it for the male gaze.
Mm-hmm.
Well, both sides have these. I can't call them restrictions. I would say it's idiots on both sides.
Mm.
It's like, oh, you were talking to that girl on the by the coffee machine in the office today. Oh, that means you want to sleep with her. It's like, sorry, I was just being polite to work colleagues.
Yeah.
And it is that mindset. I have never been in it, and I've been literally trying to twist my mind. It's like, what kind of individual thinks that way? You talk to a woman, therefore you're gonna bang me. What?
That's because people have been sitting watching the TV and seeing this is how everybody thinks men work. The only reason they talk to you is because, or if it's a gay woman, the only reason they're talking to you is because. It's a gay man, the only reason they're talking to you is because. They think that that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I've never understood that. Never understood it at all. Even when I was in my teens, I could never understand it. Sometimes it was played for fun and it was silly. I could understand that because they were playing it for fun. But when you were watching all these things, give an example. What was it? It was the bank heist. Was it Tower Heist? The group
The
were
one with
actually.
the older.
I can't remember. I think it was Tower Heist. So the guy, the girl goes in and she's trying to get past the security guard, and she's flirting with him, and he's paid no attention. He's constantly keeping an eye on the cameras and everything like that. And she looks over and he's reading a bodybuilding magazine. So she turns to the other guy in the car. He's no into me, you're up. And suddenly this guy's going, oh, I'm gay as well. Aren't you interested? I think you're, and you're sitting there thinking, really? Did these people think that everybody, if sex is mentioned, suddenly everything they're doing, their job, whatever, the thing that they're doing to earn a living to survive, they're going to just ignore just
The
because?
only character in cinematic history that I know that would be something that works for would be Phase from 18. Charismatic looking, charming, all of that. But that's because that's supposed to be his role. He's a very, very extreme niche stereotype that is like not even 0.0000001% of the population has.
Well, I think it's
Yeah. But there's a difference between using your charm and personality to try and talk someone round something, but it's not. It's a bit different from just going, "Hi, I'm gorgeous, gimme."
I mean, I think it's, there's also a degree, it seems that you say that they think that, or that some people seem to think this. I think it comes to this whole idea of putting people in these massive great boxes, like all white people are the same, all black people are the same, all Chinese people are the same, all gay people are the same. They think that every heterosexual male wants to sleep with any and every female he sees, heterosexual or not. I think any gay person wants to sleep with any gay, or it's okay for them to want to sleep with any gay person. They say they don't understand that there seems to be no conception of the idea of constraint and within relationships.
It's because it's narcissist, because that's how they think about things. They
Exactly.
assume everybody's the exact same as them,
Exactly.
or wants to be them, which is to me is the craziest. It's just nuts, and it just goes to show when the people who have written this have got the same ideas, that the way they write a relationship, it's a case of, oh, it had to happen because. So Nynaeve she likes him, so she's allowed to stalk him. because that's what they would do. Male or female doesn't matter. They would stalk somebody until they got what they wanted.
Mm.
Yeah, if it was a male stalking the female, how bad is he? He's a bad
Exactly.
We will be watching it on Crime Watch rather than
yes.
Netflix.
Whereas it's okay for a woman to stalk a man, but a man to stalk a woman, don't say that's bad, that's terrible, that's no.
I mean,
Don't
that's-
do
it's-
that.
Have you actually paid attention to the news headlines? This is true across BBC, MSNBC, even Russian news outlets, French news outlet, German, South African, South American, Australian. 45-year-old male teacher raped for a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
39-year-old female teacher had an intimate affair with a 10-year-old boy.
Or 17 or 15-year-old boy.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
the-
then
it's
you're
the
a boy,
wording,
yeah,
it's
yes,
the
I know,
wording.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
wording. If it's a male, then it's rape. If it's a woman, it's an intimate relationship.
It's
Yeah.
an intimate affair. They had a love affair. They had sex. It was an
It's an
Yeah, of course, they've always done that, but that's always been the case. But it's
but
crazy.
it is the way they use the language.
yeah. If they didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards, as they say. Cool.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the double, they wouldn't have a standard at all. Yeah, it's true, but that's the thing. It
But
shows
it-
when they're writing this.
it's the same feeling I'm getting from the way this show has been written.
Well, exactly. It's the way they're writing it. It's the same idea. It's all the whole attitude of they can only see themselves if they see themselves. Well, I'm still waiting for the bald Scots guy with a beard.
Hey, I'm hoping for
Yeah,
the return of the gingers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So they're effectively turning around saying, "Well, I shouldn't watch anything because there's never a bald Scots guy with a beard on it."
I
So-
don't think I've ever seen an approaching retirement age, somewhat overweight, bearded, grey, white medieval reenacting anything ever. How am I supposed
that's
to?
what I'm saying, it
How am I
just goes
supposed
to
to
show-
actually watch anything?
But if
Yeah,
they
they
do,
tell
or
us
at least
that,
get
that's
close
what
to
you
it,
should- That's the only things you should watch are things
Yeah,
that you
exactly.
Bollocks.
I mean,
Because you can't enjoy it
I'd be
otherwise.
so screwed if, this is made for me. Nothing is made for me.
No.
I'm not Spider-Man. I'm not a
It's
scrawny
made to
teenager
enjoy
with a
it, not
genetic
made for me.
mutation
Yeah.
and a highly scientific mind with electromagnetical engineering or whatever it is. I'm not that. Love Spider-Man. Batman. Or I'm not as brutal as Judge Dredd. I
Yeah, but
would
the good thing is,
really not
See,
make
if I
those
was writing a
calls.
movie that I wanted to see, I would still be writing it 50 years later. I want one where it's based on this comic book. It's got this character in it. It's got, I like that character. No, get rid of that. I want this character in it. This character in it. I want to see this. No, there's another movie, and I want to scrap all that. I want to do this because day to day, you change what you're liking. Because
Yeah.
yesterday I was watching Cactus Shack. Today I watched Nobody. Two completely different movies. If somebody asked me yesterday what I would like to see more of, it would be more of the Cactus Jack type of movies.
And
Whereas today I was thinking about watching John Wick, and I was also thinking about Galaxy Quest. But it's that type of thing. So you change day to day to day. So if somebody writes something and they're saying, "This is what I want to see me. I want to see me in it," and you're sitting there thinking, "Was that
I
you?"
will
That
have
you?
to say in Galaxy Quest, because I'm such a geek, I'm probably closer to the chief engineer than any of the other crew. I would definitely be whisked off by an alien to far away galaxy.
most of the audience that Galaxy Quest was aimed at are going to identify with the fucking kids and the audience at the goddamn con.
Yes.
Yep.
Right?
They're going. Some of them are going to identify with. Was it Brandon, the young boy?
Yeah, in that movie, that you can actually that is a movie that is actually written so that your intended audience actually can self-insert. They can identify with some of the
Yeah,
characters.
I've been one of those guys dressed up as that type of person. I've been one of
Exactly.
the
But
guys.
I
sitting
will
right here.
give
I've
a
been one of the girls
high.
who's fancied this type of person. Yeah, because it's a con. There's
Yeah.
I will give a high red alert, all hands on deck warning. There is a documentary about Galaxy Quest, and it's about 190,000% Will Wheaton, who isn't even in this, just inserting himself too much. Yes, I understand he is a geek, but the documentary about the phenomena that was Galaxy Quest, it's basically a Will Wheaton interview.
yeah,
Well,
because
So
it was all about Star
steer
Trek
clear.
type. It was all about the Star Trek type characters. Do you know another movie that's good along the similar lines? Fanboys.
Don't know that one.
Fanboys. It's basically about a guy who's dying, but he hadn't seen the Empire Strikes Back, and he's going to die before it gets out. So they basically want to go on a trip to try and break into Skywalker Ranch and steal a copy so he can see it, because he'd seen the first movie, loved it, and he wanted to see the second one, and that's what they plan to do. So they jump in their friend's van, which is done out like the Millennium Falcon, in the drive-through. So they bump into Trekkies and taking William Shatner, and they bump it. It's it's a silly one, but it's about fans on a road trip because of something dire happening in their life. But it's just fun, and you see the Trekkies and you see the Star Wars fans and the rivalry between them. It's a wee bit OTT, the rivalry, and that Cosspot, Seth Rogen, he's in it. But it's still a good movie. I quite enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I must admit, I was the way they actually portray the Trekkers is a bit weird, and it just looks out. But it looks like the movie's done from the Star Wars fan side, so
Oh,
it
yeah.
works for that. And it's quite fun. I must admit, I quite enjoyed it. Fanboys. I originally got a copy, and it was US region. So I didn't even my recorder wouldn't play it, and that was meant to be a multi-region, but it just wouldn't play it. I was assuming it was a different region. Ended up going out and buying another copy just because of that.
The really dumb thing is if the closest sort of thing on TV, I think, to the general see yourself in a show,
Yeah,
is EastEnders or soaps where they are about supposedly, or they were originally supposedly about
a village or a
Corrie.
town.
They're about
You cut out there.
science fiction and fantasy shows are not about that.
Exactly.
People in those shows want escapism. They want to imagine themselves. It doesn't matter what your freaking skin color is, what your freaking sexual orientation is. If you want to imagine yourself as Superman, you want to imagine yourself as Frodo or Aragorn, or
Yeah, I grew up wanting to actually do
whatever.
Watching
I mean,
Linda
okay, so
Carter
yeah, I'm
as
coming out
Wonder
with the
Woman
male
standing
ones,
in
but
the
the
living
female
room
ones are
spinning.
females, I suspect. But
Yeah,
I believe
I
the
did the
word you're
same.
looking for is inspiration. Be
Yeah.
inspired.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even things like when I was growing up, I would watch Linda Carter and Wonder Woman. I'd be standing in front of the telly spinning around. I didn't think, oh, I can't do that because I'm not a woman. She was Wonder Woman. She was a
that
hero.
wasn't what I was thinking about.
Okay, no problem. And
That
it's
wasn't what I
Well,
was thinking about as a
let's
teenager.
face
But
it,
we all
we're
did.
all of the age where we think of Linda Carter.
Yes. Yeah.
But and I'll tell you one thing. Based on the last scene of episode 8, I'm glad I ain't watching season 2 if it
God, I
comes
have to.
up.
What the
The
hell was that all
Sonchan.
about?
That's the Sonchan.
Yep,
The
that's the
Sonchan.
Shonchan.
Basically, they're Arthur Hawkwing's armies that went across the sea thousands of years ago, and this is their descendants coming back.
What the hell
in
are they
the land.
supposed to be? African or something?
No, they're
No,
basically
no, no,
meant
no,
to be
no,
the
no,
same
no.
people who, from all over the thing, see the 3,000 years before, That
Yeah.
was Arthur Hawkwing. That was thing with Telamon. That was the Dragon Reborn. When he was in charge, he had peace in the land all around him.
Right.
So the part of the land they were in. So he sent troops across the sea to find somewhere else to populate whatever. This
Right.
is them returning.
Oh, they're the
because years later-
colonizers, are they? Oh, they'll be the
Yes,
bad
they're
guys
the
next season.
colonizers coming home because they went over there, they conquered it, now they're coming home. And
But
this is
what kind of message is it sending? Because we get introduced to them at the very end of it, and never mind, I have the biggest pet peeve with battle scene just before that. But this young child is on the beach collecting seashells or whatever it is that she's doing, and they just kill her.
Oh, but do they? You see, I'm wondering, right? I half expected her to go, whoa, and push the water back with the one power. I kind of and you don't actually, because you think about it, all you see is this thing coming towards her. I must admit, I mean, going back about 10 minutes in this, I kept finding myself looking down saying, okay, how much more has this episode got to go? Not because I was getting bored or anything like that, but because I'm thinking, are they actually going to? I don't know. Are they actually going to end season 1 with the battle starting? Are they actually going to? I'm thinking, I'm getting this point. You get the build. I'm thinking, okay, are they actually going to season 1 and season 1 going to end on a cliffhanger with the Trollocks, etc., coming charging in across Hadrian's Wall. I keep calling it Hadrian's Wall for
Darwin's Gap.
Understandable.
No, I keep calling it Hadrian's Wall for the specific purpose of winding PJ up.
Put it this way, the only problem is the Trollocs would be at this side of the wall going that way.
Having said that, thinking about that, thinking about I'm actually not being entirely facetious because thinking about that, thinking about that, and about Game of Thrones and Wall.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that general concept is inspired by Hadrian's Wall, because you've got the Great Wall of China in the east, right? But in the west, and most of these are Western canon, Western stories. The only walls I can actually think of that are literally a wall to stop the barbarians coming in are Hadrian's Wall and the Antonine Wall, which effectively are the same thing, just different.
Yeah,
so
you also didn't just have them in the west, you also had them in the east, the Great Wall of China.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The barbarians out.
Yeah, but I'm wondering the same thing, but I'm also wondering, but so if Hadrian's Wall and the Great Wall of China, I mean, I say Hadrian's Wall mainly because, as I say, most of these things are Western most of these fantasies are Western in nature, come out from Western culture. And I'm thinking in all of the only one I can think of two, I say literally two, I can think Hadrian's Wall in China, the Great Wall of China in China and Hadrian's Wall. So I'm wondering how many of that might actually be inspired by Hadrian's Wall. But what I think, go back
a lot for the same reason.
But I'm watching
barbarians.
Yeah, because I'm thinking they're doing this. I mean, that wall was actually atrocious. If you're going to build a wall like that, why the hell are you going to fill it with bloody holes?
Yeah.
No, you shoot from the top couple of goddamned levels. You don't shoot from every level up where all they've got to do is climb on them, climb 2 or 3 bad guys high. No, you have it solid. Well, actually, you have it solid. You have it built like a bloody castles. Occasional arrow slots high up.
But this is why Helm's Deep is such an amazing battle, because that is a functional battle wall. It's meant to keep invaders out, no matter how large the number is.
So
it turns out at Helm's Deep, they have the number required to possibly breach it. It's not the certainty that they
and
will,
do you know what was? You know what was silly about that as well? not only is in the books the Southlanders are horsemen, they're basically knights and chargers. So they charge in with their lances, do a lot of damage, draw out their swords, and continue doing damage.
Mhm.
And they're fighters hand to hand, so they can handle Trollocs. They have issues when it's a fade. However, in this, who have they got at the lowest part? Their king.
Yeah,
Standing there on the wall, the same as everybody else.
I can respect that leading from the front, but like I said, Dan. But none of that. But 5 minutes before that, we've seen them go out on horseback, and they've charged. And you think, why? I'm thinking, literally thinking,
Why are you charging
hell-
your own wall?
Yeah, why the hell are you charging from this side of the wall? Oh, I see. You split up into three. Why are you splitting up into three? That's making worse. Oh, I see. You're going through tunnels in the wall. Now I see. Still think you're charging a little bit early, but okay. Now hold on a second. No, you haven't charged through. You charged, then you stopped, got off your horses, went up, picked up your crossbows, and stood there. Why did you charge?
Exactly. That's exactly. And also the fact is, it looked like a lot until they pulled up, and there was only about 15 of them, and the rest of them behind were pikemen.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
you did it.
but
You
as
did
you
it
said,
charge.
if they were going to do that with the walls, what they would do is have the wall blank, and then they would have bastions out so they can shoot down to make sure
Yeah.
nobody can batter
But
away at the wall.
even the battle resolution, and I may sound harsh to anyone listening or rewatching this, all the men on the wall dies, but all you needed to stop the Trolloc army
Was
overwhelming it was 5 women, and a few of them died.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Even I
is a
saw-
very sad thing
Yeah.
when a woman dies, because a woman is sadly more important to society or civilization than a man is. But you just needed 5 women to completely kill this off.
I'll give
Absolutely. But you had a good couple of thousand men die, and there was just 5 women. Let's do some dancing and twirling and London Theatre Opera,
see that
blah, blah,
battle
blah.
scene?
Boom.
See when they were preparing for that battle scene, when he's standing talking, so Agamar was talking to his sister. I like that scene because the two of them were really good as brother and sister, talking about their dad, and her saying, wear his armor because it took him through so much. He says, no, it's time for my armor. It's not time for my dad or my granddad. It's time for me to do my bit. It's time for my armor.
That's
And
actually
then
agreement.
I thought that's a really good scene. And then he turns around and says, we're not here to win. We're just here to hold up. Which that I could see it works because it's the type of thing from the book. When they know they're going to get defeated, they still do it because it's to buy time.
Yeah.
To let the refugees and the citizens get away, the soldiers charge in to buy as much time. But when they said, and he said, it's the time for the men to go to the gap, the women to stay in Faldara. I says, right, the gap gets overrun, the men are all dead.
Yeah.
And then I thought, so it's the women in Faldara who are going to hold them up and destroy them. And then the next time I saw 5 of them standing out watching the Faldara, I thought, they only need 5.
Yeah.
And they're going to destroy every single thing that comes against them without
But
doubt. Nothing's going to get to the wall.
it's such a weird thing. So
You
it is
didn't
the,
even watch
the
it
fight, but
because
it's the length of the scene. It takes the Trolloc less time to kill the people defending the wall than it takes the Trollocs to run, once they overrun the wall, to charge against these 5 ladies are doing the dancing. Literally, go back and look at it. I wouldn't recommend it because this is absolutely rubbish.
we'll take your word for it.
But the Trollocs overwhelmed the wall quicker than the charge from the wall toward the 5 ladies where they're doing the dancing and everything. It's literally 10 minutes. Oh, we're reading magic and everything and resolution, blah, 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 and everybody's dead.
I mean, from a military I mean,
You cut out again, Colin.
sorry, and I was like, I mean, having come back from practice and yeah, my archery, yeah, and I have to admit, getting really, really pissed off and bad memories has never made my archery any better. Rand, it doesn't work
So
that
what
way.
did you think of Rand's 6 arrows?
I mean, I get going to practice and taking it out of practice. I oddly enough, literally this afternoon, I was the first hour or so I was out of practice this afternoon. I was literally, we had some completely new people, and we were showing them, and they were trying out the bows, and we were helping them do some art. I was literally giving advice on the archer. I'm thinking, okay, yeah, well, that's not a long bow for starters, but okay, that's extremely short. That's the kind of range we were shooting at today. And we were doing that because we're doing it around the back of a scout hut and we haven't got any real range. We're doing it because that's as far as we can go against the wall, really close. But the actual battle thing itself, the men going out to fight, as I say to you in the green room, Peach, the men going out to fight and the women staying back, yes, perhaps not necessarily so much in that exact situation, but certainly, I mean, one of the prime sources we've got from the actually more Tudor period than medieval per se, but it's, and the name is slipped my mind, but it's a set of letters, and some of them are from a wife to her husband, and the wife has stayed at home in the castle on the estate, and the husband is in London. And it starts with P. It'll come to me eventually, I think. Paston letters. And she is asking her husband for help, that she's having trouble with neighbours. She may have to defend the estate, the castle. It happened. There are characters. There's a I think it's a Scottish lady called Black Alice, who I don't know that much about, but one of our ladies actually portrays Black Alice, the character, a real historical character who defended her castle. There have been women who've done that. They would have had some men stay back. That's fine. Also, the fact that, I mean, your point about taking 5 women to defeat them, yes, ridiculous. But the tactics, okay. The men go out, they go out, they defend them, they take out, they cut down the numbers. So
that's the sad thing. Here they don't, but I agree. Both you and I are aligned on the tactic.
Yeah. The theory is, and it seems to work to a bit. Yeah, okay. So they cut down the numbers coming in, hopefully enough so that the defenders can take them out. Not 5 women creating a sudden earthquake, but we know. But yeah, the tactics and the strategies that are reasonably valid, reasonably medievalish.
Well, I will say that the way the scene is portrayed is, it's not even teenager, it's before you become a teenager. This is the way you think of it. But the tactic is, and I will say that is valid. I would use the exact same strategy. I would send out the weaker troop to slow them down, or maybe pile them up so that they become more condensed. And when they do overrun, because they're condensed, the defenders, and this is something people don't understand, you can have an offensive defense.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. The best defense is a good offense. Yeah.
Exactly, which is where you put your front line of your defense. It's like they are actually attacking back. They're not just idly waiting for you to come. They're meant to compact you, get you ready for the next wave. So it's a solid tactic that way. But the way it's displayed, that's just laughable.
There's a reason Castle designed the rider. Again, it's another one of these things, I think, where they've got some really good, really solid ideas and concepts. The writing and the execution lets them down. Let's be polite about it. In some cases, absolute crap. In others, it's just, okay, I wouldn't do it that way. But, they've got some really good ideas and concepts, but they're not executed that well.
Yeah. Well, as I was saying earlier, and prior to the stream starting, the thing is, in the books, they had a description, a good description of the women joining battle. It was right at the beginning where the two rivers had been attacked by the Trollocs, and people were wanting to give up, chase Moiraine and Lan out because they blamed them. And then she gives them the speech about how Manetheren fell. It's basically she telling them that during the fight against the Shadow, Manetheren was known as the thorn in the Dark One's side because men, the soldiers from there, when they were fighting against the Dark One knew he was in trouble because the men of Manetheren were so stubborn they would fight to the end, and no matter what he did, it
And
would
then the
always go
book
bad
does
for
it
him.
well. So
So
the usual phrasing is a thorn in the paw.
Dark One's side, yeah.
But
That's what I'm
it's a
saying.
thorn in the
And
side because they
so
even more. But go
yeah,
ahead, Peter.
so but that's what I'm saying. So Manetheren, because they were such a thorn, they were attacked in overwhelming numbers. Manetheren were told they were going to get aid by the other kingdoms around them if they held for 2 days, and they held for a week, and no help came. And even as the Dreadlords, the Fades, and the thousands and thousands of Trollocs were ready to cross the Manetheren River to attack again, the women from the thingy picked up what weapons they could and bolstered the men folk, and they fought together to preserve their homeland. Men and women together fought side by side, eventually overrun, but because they fought, people survived, and that's where the people who are in the two rivers now, they're the descendants of the survivors. They're descendants of the people who fought as Manetheren. And it was basically saying about how even in the dire states, women would step up and actually not let this happen. And it's a really good, powerful talk that Moiraine gives them to describe Manetheren. And they just ignored it. And they went with this pish. If they wanted to show that no matter what, men and women can stand side by side and do the battle, Manetheren would have been a perfect way of describing, because she could have been telling them and they could have had a scene of her, what she's describing. But no, they just went with all the men are going to die, the women are going to save everybody. No problem.
Yeah, and
And
as
the
you
thing
say,
is, I saw it, and I knew exactly how it was going to happen. That's the problem. There's no point actually doing the scenes because we knew as soon as she said the women are on Faldara, the men are there. Well, that's the men deed. They're deed. So no point showing that part because we know that. And then the next thing you see 5 women standing out talking, and they go, "Well, you don't even need to show Faldara because those 5 women are going to do it all. You might as well just kill all the Trollocs because we don't need to see them all get killed because we know that not one of them's going to survive."
And then the only men that stay behind, because the king, the emperor, has told them to dig up this ultimate weapon of last resort.
The
They
Horn
also
of
get killed.
Valir.
The Horn of Valir. They also get killed.
Yes.
You know, the only men that
And
remain
the
behind,
thing is, one of the
the only
there
ones that
was
get killed
Uno.
are the men that stay behind. No, a couple of them.
Yeah, and one of the guys there was Uno, and he was a big character later on after Faldara in the Eye of the World, but they killed him off already.
Have they?
So in the second season with Rand, he was meant to be one of the ones that went with Rand. Obviously, Rand on his squad too, so all that was needed. So just kill him off.
I've got
So you
question for you, gents, and anyone and an audience. From a storytelling and dramatic point of view, not from a TV show, do you think it would have been better if Nynaeve had actually stayed dead? From a dramatic and a storytelling, not what do we think of the character? Because you've got one of the main characters. I'm not thinking Game of Thrones here, but I thought that, and I thought, okay, that's, you know, she's done it. She's powerful. You know, she's done it. She went out to them. She saved them. She's done it again. She saved them, and she's given her life saving them.
I will answer that, and I think you know where you're going. And I know they will not be able to reach the end of the book series at all. There will be so few people watching this. So they will never reach that end. Her death here would probably have added a little bit of excitement. It would have
It would have
added
got
a
me
little
going.
bit of,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, but it would have added a little bit of excitement. It's like, okay, you have all these ladies, the Aes Sedai, even the novices are so powerful they can wipe out the 20,000 Trolloc army.
Yeah.
One of them dying, that would actually have given a little bit of a hook in. And it's like, okay, they're not completely immortal, they're not completely flawless. It might have enticed me to watch at least the first episode of next season. But
remind me again, that was this was the sister, wasn't it? This was the sister, and this was the one who had been to the White Tower, but hadn't been quite powerful, and she was the one who had actually got a ring but without a jewel, if I remember right. Yeah.
That was yes, Lord Agomar's sister. Yes.
Yeah. So you say that was, but not only that, but also to turn it the other way around. Again, to some degree, or to a large degree, Egwene bringing Nynaeve back to life or whatever, breathing on the embers, whatever, kind of made her sacrifice pointless because it wasn't a sacrifice. I mean, true, she didn't know it was going to happen, but again, from a storytelling point of view,
they can't kill off a character that they want to, because in that, if they had showed her start to go to dust and then cut away and you never saw the rest and they left that for the next season, they can't do that because people will go, oh, she said, oh, well, that's it. So they have to show straight away that they've come back to life.
Yeah, I mean,
Sherlock died, and then 2 minutes later you see him standing over his grave, and you're
Yeah.
sitting there thinking, there's no concept of right, so kill him off, and then we'll have a really big. Well, we'll show him in the next scene. So what did you kill him off for if you're going to show him straight away?
I mean, the silly thing is, we probably, most people probably didn't expect Sherlock to stay dead at the end of season 2, whichever one it was, or 3. Most people probably, even if they're not familiar with the Sherlock Holmes stories, they probably didn't expect him to stay dead.
Yeah.
Well, even so, if all you watched was that episode, you would get the fact that he's clever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's very clever.
No. We're talking about Moffat Sherlock Holmes. Don't be silly.
No. Okay, I will downgrade it to not so clever.
Written to be smart.
But it is still the. Obviously, sadly, I'm speaking from the experience of familiarity with Sherlock. It's a clever individual. It's like 4D chess or whatever the Orange Man says. It's like moving pieces, planning moves, and strategic
Classic
and all that.
Sherlock Holmes, yes.
Yes, he would have that. You would expect that. Oh, he died. But you do get kind of the disappointment because if you're familiar, you go, it's like, oh, Sherlock died. Really? I'm not believing you.
If you're at all familiar with Sherlock Holmes, you know exactly what's going to happen from the moment the title of the goddamn episode comes up, because it's Reichenbach, and you know exactly what's going to happen to Reichenbach, and you know exactly that he's going to come back. But what I mean is, in the case of Sherlock, no, Sherlock is the lead character, name character, though. The only way they're going to kill him off is if they are
finishing the series,
completely and utterly finishing the series, and they're not going to do that. I mean,
exactly.
Because I know, but you think about, given the Game of Thrones example, Game of Thrones, for fuck's sake, killed off Sean Bean at the end of season 1, a major character, right? Okay, it was Sean Bean, so no one actually expected him to survive. But if they want to redo, if they want to bring back, channel the Game of Thrones, appeal to Game of Thrones fans with Wheel of Time, well, kill off a major character.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, given what we now know happened with the actor, okay, it could probably easily be Matt, but then again, they were acting it off screen. But they managed to do that on The Expanse, which is one reason why I didn't bother watching the last season.
Mhm.
But I still think that from a, as I say, from a no, they couldn't do it because they couldn't kill off because she's a woman. For starters, they can't kill off a woman these days.
Yep.
But from a story, from a sane, intelligent person's storytelling point of view,
And
from a drama,
even the way they did it is bad, based on the fact is what they've done in the books.
Yeah.
The books, they clearly state if there's a bit of life there, they can actually back into life. However, if there's no life there, doesn't matter how powerful you are in the one power, you cannot bring life into something that's dead.
and we're now back to the point of okay, I was right in the first place. So Egwene is actually Lorien and Nynaeve is Sheridan. She breeds
Yes.
on the embers. Nynaeve's got
Yep.
20 years left. But no, what I'm saying is that no, from a dramatic, from any number of points of view, if they, I thought, okay, that's satisfying. That's a satisfying end for the character. Whatever you may think, that's a satisfying end for the character. We've really done this. She's done this. Lan earlier on said or intimated that there was no chance, even if she carried on to be an Aes Sedai, there was no way they would be able to carry on a relationship. I didn't quite get the details of that, but
I think it was to do with the fact is because he would be bound to Moiraine.
Oh right, and I did also wonder if at the point he was expecting to die when he chased after Moiraine, but yeah, but that's so that's out of it. So that's, we know that's something. But so she's done that. She's had a character point of view. From a character arc point of view, that would have been satisfying in so many ways. It would have been satisfying to get one of the characters gets killed off, major drama. But then 30 seconds later, she's back alive again. So the whole thing's written out. I know you want to go shortly, PJ, didn't you? You were saying you need to. So, what the one other thing I did actually note about that, going back it, you actually assuaged my concerns about a note that I made in block capital letters. But I noticed that when the beginning of episode 8, Jim can probably work out what that one is. It's if I mention what I thought she called, and yes, what she did actually call that statue, especially a stream I did on FFSI a little while ago about a certain British legend. But I did notice they right at the start there, when you've got the not married couple, the big bad. Actually, none of the big bads in this have actually been white men, which I'm quite impressed with. I mean, the Dark Lord guy is sort of Arabic Asian looking, but they come out and they specifically said that there were male and female Aes Sedai. They actually said it in the goddamn. So you start off. So 3,000 years ago, there were male and female Aes Sedai. Then of course, then the males get used it because they can't use the power anymore.
Yeah,
which is not that well explained in the series.
No, but I mean, it is a fair thing to use the whole thing. If I ask you guys, 21 days ago, so the 2nd of January, what did you have for breakfast? You would go
sausages.
Can I answer that because I don't do breakfast, but I know what you mean.
No, exactly. It's like,
yeah,
it's kind of a guess. It's like, yes, I usually do have sausage, eggs, beans, hash browns if I can, if I have the energy. But it's usually just sausage and beans. So I kind of, because my routine is literally the same every day, it would be that. But it is that remembering, and this is just 21 days ago. Now you're talking 3,000 years, trying to remember what happened and who it is. So this is why it's fallen into disrepair. Nobody really knows and everything. But the book has the green archers. No, it's the green or the brown.
The green
bookworm.
is the battle adger. The brown is the knowledge.
Yeah, so the brown are the bookworms. They're literally trying to unearth history to support the rest of the sisters. Say, this is what it meant. This is what they used to do, and all that, and it's like bring it forward. But here, it's just complete. Nope, it happened 3,000 years ago. We don't care.
Well, so the thing is, what I've one of the things I have liked about this, and I read, I think from the last review we did, I read slightly differently to you guys as well. Was we got another one?
I bought one.
Was that they've actually acknowledged that 3,000 years? Well, the legends have changed in 3,000 years. You know, they've actually acknowledged. You know, they've acknowledged that. I mean, I think I said before the stream that if that first episode had been that first scene, the pre-credit scene, would be the obvious one, but or anyone, but probably some of the Aes Sedai or the someone connected to Aes Sedai, telling the kids the story of how the previous dragon screwed the pooch, then yeah, okay, I can understand it because they'll be telling it through 3,000 years of history and through their
bias.
But yeah, through their bias, their perceptions, their understanding, their worldview, that okay, that Ben screwed up, and in fact, it's true in a way. But the men fucked up. Sorry, the men messed up, and the women sorted it. Okay, so from that bias, yes, the fact that you've got the dragon talking to, I thought it was his wife because I said, I mean, every damn couple. One of my main complaints in this is the diversity. That I think every damn couple I've seen has been mixed race. That's not racism. YouTube. That's an observation. But there was the two of them, and they're talking, and the woman is trying to hold the man back. You know, if that was being told in the future, that works. But no, they said 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, and also
that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. And
but we've got to see it.
1,000 years ago, who was looking after the baby? The man.
Yeah. Oh, yes, she's true. Well, then again, you don't know. But I mean, as I said, I mean, until she said an off, and I mean, I genuinely thought that they were actually meant to be husband and wife. But okay, but no, you don't know where the wife is. That's okay. That's you know, fine. I've got no problem with that. But no.
Yeah. The thing is
what happened. It's not what is remembered is what happened.
Yeah. It's
but so obviously you started off with male and female Aes Sedai.
Yes. And the thing is, they contradicted themselves in that scene because previously they had mentioned that they didn't know what would have happened when they tried to seal the Dark One's prison. And because of the men's hubris, it caused a counter-strike that meant every man who touched it would go crazy. However, in that scene, she turns around and says to him, if you do this, it will put a taint on the one power that every man will go crazy. So they effectively knew before it was going to happen. So the fact is later on they're turning around saying nobody knew what would happen until it happened. Well, she just said,
which isn't what's happening in the book. There was women and men Aes Sedai trying to lock him in, the Dark One in.
Yeah, and as a counter stroke, he the male half of the
because he can't touch the female half. So he only managed to contaminate the male half.
I thought that the idea was that the dragon. I got the impression maybe again not been paying attention on this Reddit, but I got the impression that the idea was that the dragon would be able to, the dragon alone would be able to touch the power and wouldn't be
No.
corrupted. But okay,
No.
that's fair. I mean, what
No,
I find,
see, right in the book, the male half. So anybody who touched the male half, any male who touched it, it's like a slime, so it's the corruption, and
so
it
even,
eventually drives them
even the
crazy.
dragon, yeah,
Women's
okay,
is not corrupted, so they can actually dip into it.
Mm.
So in this TV show, it's crazy the way they started it for saying there's only the one power, and if a man dips in, he becomes crazy. So you're saying is, so there's a difference between men and women then in this show? Men and women are completely different, they're not the same.
What I did,
Any man who dips into the one power, which both sides dip into, they go crazy.
Mm.
So the women don't. So that means there's a difference between men and women in this series.
There's one thing they did there at the end, though. I must admit that I doubt it'll come from, but that occurs to me thinking about it. That might actually be a stream, a thread that might be interesting to follow the next season. Exactly what has he done to Moraine?
He's killed her. That's what he's done.
But has he sealed her off from so she can't touch it?
Yes. See, when a man's done, when it's happens to a man,
Yep.
it's called gentle. What happened to Logain? Remember, they cut him off from the power, and he could sense it but couldn't touch it, and eventually he has to be killed. It happened to her.
What I'm wondering is the other possibility would be: has he poisoned her so that if she ever used the power again, it will take the power?
No, I know what you're thinking. No,
yeah, I'm just
they're basing this on the fact is Logain. Remember, Logain was gentled, and they basically told him, you can feel the power, but you can't touch it. And eventually it'll drive you to suicide, but we're not going to let you do that. We're going to keep you as an example.
Yeah.
In effect, what he did to Moiraine was the same thing. He cut her off, so she can sense it, but she cannot touch it.
Oh, right. Okay. I mean, no, it's just, I mean, I thought that, but it's just, it occurred to me as an interesting, that, okay, because they've done that, and especially since they've set up, reminded us again that the Dark One poisoned the well for male.
Poisoned the well for the men to touch, although poisoning the well in it. See, that's why I'm saying this is crazy, because effectively says there's only the one power. There's not the male half, the female half. There's only the one. And now they're saying is if men touch it, they go crazy. So they're effectively saying there's a difference between men and women in this show. So that means that you can't say I'm a woman because you would still go crazy because you can only you're a man. You see what I mean? So they've effectively turned around and says there's no such thing as in between. You're either a man or a woman. So they've effectively said that in this show, and also,
but they're not intelligent enough to realise that.
Yeah, I know. But also in this show, they set it up that any one of the 5 could be the dragon. But they're turning around and saying if a man touches it, he'll go crazy. But if a woman touches it, they won't. So if a woman was going to be the dragon, and if they're saying in the past women have been dragons, why not just train them at their own power?
Yeah, exactly. As you said before, I agree.
It makes zero sense, because then either women have never been the dragon and turned evil because they don't go crazy. Sorry, turn crazy, they can still turn evil. And they never turn crazy. So what that means, you're saying that the women who were sane still were evil. Yeah. And it's men who go evil because they're crazy. So it's not the men's fault, but it's the women's fault. And then they're also saying that if now they've said Rand is the dragon, what's that got to do with the rest of them then? So it's just all up in the air, and it's a load of pants.
So Rand is the Dragon Reborn. So it's now perfectly safe then for not even Egwene can go off and become Aes Sedai.
Perrin's fine, Matt's fine.
Perrin and Matt are going to go insane. Okay. this is all sorted. So well, actually, Matt might go insane apart from the slight fact that he's going to be hunted down by the assassin Aes Sedai because Moraine
He's
stitched him
basically
up.
because he's away back to Faldara.
Yeah, not so much that. It's the Moraine who doesn't want any of these kids to die has told the Red Aes Sedai to go after Matt.
Yep, because he's evil and he's going back
Okay,
to get another dagger or something from the city.
Yeah, but we don't even see that. All we see, all she knows is that.
Oh no, you see him actually. You see, there was a bit with Matt, and he wasn't actually in that city again.
Yeah, we see. I did wonder if that was Matt we saw coming out of the waves, but obviously it wasn't. It was obviously the trader guy. Fair enough.
Yeah, but you saw the bit. There was Matt. Did you see him approaching, and then it showed you the city, and it was the city that they had got the dagger from initially. So
was
it? I know.
We saw that. What I'm saying is again, Moraine does not know that. All Moraine knows is
exactly she doesn't
her impression she had of Matt, that Matt was evil and the rest of it. He's been left behind, so he's not. So she has no idea what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But she's got her suspicions. So this loving, caring Aes Sedai who's told them that if she knew which one of them it was, she wouldn't take the others, even though that she's only one. Fair enough. From that point of view, from the cat, great. She has to do. She's doing what she has to do. She has no more choice than anyone else. Fair enough. But she then turns around and gets this message back and tells the Red Aes, not the others, the Red Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
The assassins, in effect, to go after
the ones that actually hunt down men.
The people who are apparently misogynist lesbians.
Yeah.
Apart from when they've got hidden lovers that no one knows about.
Exactly.
But go after Matt.
Yeah.
So that's really compassionate.
Right. I need to actually start winding up, but before we do, there's one thing I wanted to bring up. See the very last scene with the Seanchan. You'll not even click with this because it was only the last scene. They have the Seanchan women casting the spell.
Yeah.
2 in the front and 2 in the back. In the book, the ones in front walk about with their eyes down because they can channel, and they are called the leash ones. So they've got a leash on their neck, and the women behind have the leash on their wrist. So they walk them around like dogs because women who can channel have to be leashed. In this, there's no leash, but there's something on their mouth.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I thought, are they wearing ball gags or something? But no,
in effect, that's exactly what it is. Because in the show, they've got a leash. The leash stops them channeling unless the person who's got the leash holder round their wrist. So there's a wrist, a chain, or a thing, and then it goes round their neck, and it stops them channeling unless the person holding on allows them to channel.
So they're effectively slave cars in some ways.
Yes, that's exactly what they are. So they get rid of that for some reason. Surprise, surprise.
Wow.
But they've got this big ball gag thing in their mouth, and you're sitting there thinking, what's that got to do with anything?
I don't know. Was it? I'm not sure if it was that, or I thought it was something. But I thought it looked when it was close up like it was something over them, in front of the mouth, rather than actually in it. But I don't know exactly the same sort of effect. You have to stop them.
Yeah,
you think,
I don't know why that has got any resemblance to the leashed ones, because they're meant to have a chain around their neck attached to someone with a leash, so they're basically walked around like dogs. In this, they've obviously says, "Well, we can't have women around their necks. I will put a ball gag in them." Yeah, that makes it a lot better. Well, we need to make them look as normal as possible. And in my house, we've got women walking about with ball gags, so we'll do that. That's the type of nutcases you've got here. They actually say we can't have a woman with a leash on, but we'll put a ball gag in her mouth because that's more normal. It's just that you only saw it at the end, and obviously because you know nothing about the books, and it would make zero sense to anything. But because we know they're the Seanchan and the leashed ones, they've got 2 women standing behind the 2 in all grey, and they've no leashes, but they've got the ball gag thing. To me, it's the same idea. What's all this refer to? If they're not leashed, how can they be controlled? It makes zero sense.
I mean, going back to that thing. So I presume then that even among the Shongshan, only women can use the power.
Yes, any man who's caught used the power
So
is executed. Women who can use the power are leashed.
Right.
Yeah.
But so again, it's the same again. So it's worldwide. Is that men who touch the power go nuts?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because the thing is, what struck me is okay. So the way I sort of imagine it, envision it, is that what the Dark One has done is he has poisoned the well, to use it, but he's poisoned it with a
Male
poison
only
which
juice.
only affects the men. So I did wonder if maybe what he'd done was he'd given Moraine something so that if she touched it, it would poison it for women as well and make it completely poisoned.
Yeah, I understood where you were going there, but
Yeah.
no, he's effective. She said she can't touch
He's-
it, and
he's
it,
cut
to
her
me,
off. Okay,
she,
yeah.
it won't happen to Lagaine, happened to her, so she's
Right.
been stilled. When it happens to a
Yeah,
man,
so,
it's
so
called gentle.
essentially
When it happens
the
to women,
ladies
it's been stilled.
can cut off a man from accessing.
So a man
It's
can
don't
cut
say
off a
that.
man.
But a man can also.
Ow!
See, the thing is, a man or a woman can cut a man or a woman off from touching the power. So think about it as they've got a string touching the power, and they just feed from that string. Somebody went snip, cut it off. So once that's cut off,
So
it's what they basically class it as. So they cut it, so they
it's
can no longer, they can sense it, but they can't touch it. So they
it's
can't.
not something done with the one power then.
It's done with the one power. The one power is the
So
thing. It does
so
that.
if a man does that, he's touched the power, so he's gonna go
Well,
nuts.
that one is the one who put
Yeah,
the paint on it. So
he did
he's
more
he's
to
immune
it.
to it.
Hmm.
He's immune to it because he's the one that actually put it on. So it's part of him. So the
Right,
Dark One
okay.
can touch, and the people who follow him, he drains it off from them, so they don't
Oh,
go
I see.
crazy as such. But he basically uses that as a right. I want to actually be able to power. Okay, if you join me and do what I tell you, I'll make sure you don't go crazy. They go, no problem. I want power. Give me this. Give me that. Here you
Yeah.
go, and I'll make sure you won't go crazy. So I'll
And I'll eat the
turn that
stuff.
off.
Oh, that's a win-win situation for everybody there then.
Yeah, well, it's not because
yeah,
your big bad guy is actually saying, I'll control you. You basically I'll give you all the money and all the power you want as long as you do what I tell you,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and I'll
The
make sure
book
you
is
won't
so
go
much
crazy.
more clever.
In effect, it's like selling your soul to the devil. The only
Yeah.
difference is the devil's putting a filter on it so you don't go crazy, but you still have to do all the bad things that you're told to do and you want to
Yeah.
do.
Exactly, and that's what the book is selling quite well. It managed to do that balance. There's the back and forth. You're not becoming a dark friend just because.
Hmm.
And the thing is, in this thing, they only mention dark friends when they need them to mention it.
Yeah. I mean,
In the book, you understand it a lot more. It's like somebody selling their soul to the devil for silly things or for really important things. Somebody might sell their soul to the devil because that person that I fancied likes somebody else. So I'm selling my soul so she likes me instead. Or else somebody else saying, I actually want to run this country. So if I sell my soul, you give me the power to run this country and all these people. Different people sell their souls.
that explains where Jimmy Cranky.
Yeah, exactly. She sold her soul. She sold her soul so she could actually get an
And
upgrade to actually
And
destroy her
she
country.
sold her soul to Ursula von der Leyen.
Yeah, basically. But it's just the thing is, this show makes zero sense across the board, which is unfortunate because
They dropped everything from world building to character building.
yeah,
I mean, is there any character? Now, I'm asking this more directly to you, Colin. Is there any character you really is rooting for? You want more. You want them to just like expand. Is there anything that has hooked in and saying this is amazing?
I'm not intending to watch next season. So, no,
neither
not
am I.
really. No. I mean,
And definitely, I've never been a fan of the Shongshan, basically because it's the same as the White Cloaks. Anybody who does evil to say they're doing good, I don't like. So it's the same as like if you're looking at the Crusades and you've got the Crusaders saying to the bishop, "How can we tell the Christians from the Muslims from the Jews? That's okay, kill them all. God will sort it out.
Yeah,
Sorry, he's evil. End of story.
absolutely.
The Crusaders, the soldiers who are asking a question so they don't make sure they don't kill the wrong ones.
But
Yeah,
if I'm gonna be
exactly, but
brutally
when
fair,
somebody does that, so if you've got someone who, unless you do what we told you, we're going to kill you and we're going to kill all your family, we're going to destroy your village.
Mm.
Oh, but we're good ones. You need to follow us.
but
Sorry,
if I'm
you're
gonna
a
if I'm
as
if
dark
I'm
one,
gonna be
so-
brutally fair, most people that I've met, and okay, this is anecdotal evidence. Most people dislike the Shun part of it, of the story, and that's the second book. That's the second book. This is where they're heading now.
Yep.
So if you manage to alienate, say, 90% of the readers, so you're now down to about 4 million people.
if you're
The
lucky.
4 million people that are left, you might.
I'd love to see what the viewing
You're
figures for this
lucky
show
if
are.
you're ending up with 40. You're lucky if you're ending up with 40 at the end of it, because most people just go, not the greatest part, still good story arc, but not the part. I would skip it and watch the next one.
Well, I must agree. I must admit. I say, as a standalone show, not connect without any connection to the books, which is the way I'd be genuinely be interested if they had any figures on how many of their viewers have actually read the books and how many just watching the series because it's a series. As a series, I think again, it's got some. It has. Oh, it had potential. It had some good ideas. A little bit like Foundation. The Foundation TV series had some really good ideas. I just thought they were really badly implemented. And whether it's actually there or it's just current day sensitivities on my part, there's a lot of dear God, the wokeness.
Yes, there is a lot of old dear God
Diversity.
points in it. Right, there's an
Um,
article. There's an article out. It was published in 26th of November last year. Wheel of Time backlash is a major risk for future seasons. It goes on and talks a bit about it, how Robert Jordan, the 14 books, Brandon Sanderson finishing it, saying it's already renewed for season 2. Although, and then it talks about Matt being replaced. Unfortunately, the reception for the Wheel of Time's first episode, plural, hasn't exactly been positive. The core problem with the Amazon's series is rather different from the books.
that was in November.
These differences angering readers who initially loved Jordan's novels. The most striking change of all is a visual one. The Wheel of Time main characters aged older than the book versions in an attempt to show for the show to avoid feeling like it's a young YA fantasy adventure.
I can see that.
Yep.
Fair enough.
And
That I can
meanwhile,
see.
Jordan tried to balance traditional fantasy violence with an attempt to appeal to a general audience with younger characters. Although Wheel of Time did get pretty brutal, he didn't get into details. And visually, the first 2 episodes already gorier than anything Jordan wrote.
I keep forgetting. Of course, it finished a while ago, didn't it?
Yep. The shift in age and violence is a naked attempt to appeal to Game of Thrones viewers. But
Yeah.
for those who love the books, it goes rather too far. All this is compounded by the sheer pace of the story, which is running through chapters at a remarkable speed. It's
Yeah.
quite incredible that Emmons Field Group found their way to the cursed city of Shadar Logoth by episode 2. And it basically just it blasts it the rest of the way. It's just it's the fact is it's already got season 2. And the fact is I think it's that bad. I'm glad I'm not finishing then. I'm not watching season 2. But I'm looking forward to next week for
Resident Alien.
Resident Alien.
I'm sure that's been
looking
put
forward.
back because I'm absolutely convinced I've been saying for weeks that it was supposed to start yesterday.
Well, if it starts before next week, it's not a
But
problem.
I couldn't find it, and when I looked it up earlier on this evening, it's showing us starting on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
don't
the
know
thing
if it's
is,
been put back.
over the weekend of Valentine's weekend, so the Saturday and Sunday, I'll not be available. We're busy that whole weekend, so I'll not be even on the Saturday or the
Right,
Sunday.
so okay, there's one.
So that's the 12th and 13th of February. We'll be doing other things, so I'll not be able to go
Okay,
online
fair
at
enough.
all.
That's okay.
So,
Right.
but at least we're still next week, and we can catch up and
Yeah.
organise things.
The one thing I'll say, I'm glad you actually put my mind at rest by explaining that it's purely a coincidence in
The Sangreal.
in wording. Jim,
Yes.
the three words I put in capitals were, did she say the Holy fucking Grail? Well, she
Yes,
said the
it's-
Sangreal, but
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
no, it's not. But no, so no,
See, in the book, there's three. There's Angreals, there's Sat Angreals, and there's Ter Angreals.
Yeah.
So Angreal is the base one of it. So it's SA apostrophe Angreal or EA apostrophe Angreal. So it's Sa Angreal and Ter Angreal.
I mean,
Yeah, Angreal is the word. It's not a grail.
I mean,
But again, it's the cleverness of Robert Jordan being able
Yes.
to play this in.
He's played it in a word so that yes,
say-
you could read it in that way.
Given like I said, I keep having to say it's Moraine, not Morgaine or Morgana, isn't it? It's
Well, I
Igraine,
must
not
admit,
Ivaine.
in this one, I do call her Morgaine a lot, and it's literally because I don't see her as Moiraine.
Yeah,
And it's
and
because
as someone that has
she's
spent the
so
last 2
different.
decades here in United Kingdom, I also get Morgaine, not Moiraine.
And it's because it's a completely different character, so there is no connect for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Even L'Oreal, I call him L'Oreal, as in the perfume, because he's a completely different character.
Yeah.
And it is that. So when it comes up at character names, I don't have any attachment to any of these characters.
Again, I would imagine that. I mean, I don't know. I might just be filtering through myself, but I would imagine that again, quite a few people who are watching this show, are probably also reasonably familiar with the Arthurian mythology, simply because it's a similar fact. And I wonder how many people would actually gone. Hold on a second. What actually had exactly like that. Wait a second. Did you just say the Sangreal?
I know it is a pain, but when in the book it's easier because you're reading it, so you can see it straight away. But it's because of that, it's the wording, and because they don't even make because they initially in the book they explained about Sangreals, Angreals, and Ter Angreals. Here they just brought them up when they needed them. Anyway, guys, I need to actually be running.
Okay, mate, no problem.
So, thank you again for joining us, Colin, and
No
looking
problem.
forward to Resident Alien. I'm so looking forward to that next week.
I'm so hoping not to be disappointed, especially after season 2 of Superman and Lois.
Well, it should be a good palate cleanser.
I'm going to rewatch season 1 this week before catch season first episode of season 2. Look forward to it. But I definitely need to rush. So, from myself, Jim, and Colin, thank you for joining us for the crappiest rendition of The Wheel of Time. And thank you, gents, for an enjoyable talk. And ladies, gentlemen,
we survived.
Yes, we survived. Thank you very much for joining us. And remember, I'm not old, I'm classic. PJ maybe,